What's up everyone, my name is Cam. Thank you so much for tuning in and I hope you're having a fantastic week. So summer is right around the corner. Even though we have had a magnificent spring here in the Carolinas, yeah, I can tell that summer is lurking, and once it gets here, it's gonna be on like Donkey Kong. Now, as some of you know, some of these lines that have flankers, the flankers seem to, sometimes are kind of hit or miss, but one line that I think is solid as a rock, and I think any of these picks are going to be perfect for summer. We're talking about the Bvlgari Aqva line. So stay tuned, let's get into this. So it's such a beautiful day today. It actually was very cool this morning, nice and breezy this afternoon. It did get right up around 90 degrees and now it's back down to like the lower 70s. Feels great out here, but I know that this weather is not going to last long. Once it breaks and gets to 100 degrees, it's going to stay that way till maybe like late October. So that's just how it is down here. So I'm getting cranked and want you to get cranked over some of these summer fragrances, and I thought that this line is really solid. I mean, every release that's come out so far on the men's line, I have thoroughly enjoyed. So let's go ahead and jump into the first one. So the OG is Bvlgari Aqva Pour Homme. Now I think that this one is actually kind of overlooked. It's kind of foreshadowed by a couple of its predecessors, but I think that it's a very, very solid start to this flanker line, which has a little bit of, diverseness to it. I don't even know if diverseness or diversity. How about diversity? It has a little bit of diversity to it. This line is very aquatic, it's very aromatic. They're all, citrus and marine based, but they each have their own personality, and I think everybody has their favorite. Okay, so I'd say that this is a fresh aquatic aromatic, and I guess that's pretty much going to be the theme for this entire line, but each fragrance does have its own personality. Now the OG is a little bit deeper and darker. It has a really nice lavender note in here. You've got a little bit of petitgrain in here, a hint of patchouli. That's just it's kind of light patchouli. It's not like a thick patchouli, but you can detect it in the dry down a little bit, and you also have a little bit of woods on that dry down. Now, one other note that I get in here that's actually perfect for summertime fragrances, for me anyway, is seaweed, and I do get a little bit of that, and I think there's one other in this line, if I'm not mistaken, that also has a note of seaweed, but it's most detectable in the OG. Now, in my opinion, I feel that this is a very well balanced fragrance, especially for the price. If you guys are looking for an inexpensive but effective must-have fragrance for summer, I would definitely go with the OG Bvlgari Aqva Pour Homme. So the next one I want to talk about is one that is actually pretty popular, and there was even a rumor that it was being discontinued at one time. It is Bvlgari Aqva Amara. Now this one is actually more focused on the note of mandarin, but it has a nice zestiness, especially in the opening. But they also added the note of neroli, and there's also patchouli leaf in here that you can detect just a little bit on the dry down. Now as far as the citruses go, on this particular fragrance, I think it's more concentrated on the citruses, where, as I mentioned, the Pour Homme is a little bit more well balanced. I don't find that this is not well balanced, but I think that they really put a lot of concentration into those really nice, juicy and zesty mandarin notes. You also have a note of neroli in here, which is a nice little twist where you're getting a little of those florals in here, which is a nice addition, which almost gives it like a tropical vibe. Now, as far as performance goes, this one isn't bad. It's not really like a slouch as far as, like aquatic and citrus summertime fragrances. A lot of those are pretty much fleeting, especially it seems like in certain circumstances, the more you pay for citrus type fragrances, let's say like some of the Louis Vuitton, and of course, I'm sure you guys can think of a million others, they kind of fleet. This one actually has some pretty good staying power, and that's actually kind of the standard throughout this entire line. Now there's some that perform a little bit better than others, but for this one to be so concentrated on the zesty citruses, I think the body of this just holds this together really well and does have good performance for a citrus based fragrance. And as I did mention, this does have a note of neroli in here, and if you're not a fan of neroli, I don't think that it's really going to be a big issue with this. Of course, it's not an inexpensive fragrance. I'd say, sample before you buy it, but there are the smaller bottles. They're even cheaper. That's actually 3 out of 4 of the ones I actually got in these smaller bottles. But for me, I feel that this is probably the most tropical one out of the 4. Now the next one is Bvlgari Aqva Marine. Now this one is obviously going to be more concentrated on the aquatic and marine aspects, where, as I mentioned on the Aqua Amara, it's more around more of a tropical vibe and more of the citruses. So I think each one of these fragrances kind of takes you to a different place, where the OG might just take it to your local beach, where the Aqua Amara will take you, you know, maybe down in the Keys or down to the Caribbean. And then the Aqua Marine is just like you're actually out on a boat on the ocean and the waves are crashing up around your boat, and you know, you're just out on the middle of the ocean. You can't see anything for miles except water. Now this fragrance is more centered on the marine and citrus notes, and those citruses are grapefruit, and you also have a note of mandarin repeated in this. You also have neroli in here, and you have a note of petitgrain. And remember earlier when I mentioned that note of seaweed, this is the other one that has the note of seaweed. So if you've ever been to the Caribbean, the water is just like this. That's why I meant, like, you're out in the middle of that water. I find that this really kind of gives you that nice summertime vibe down at the Caribbean, you know, white sands. Again, you know, you could just be out with no sand in sight, maybe off of an island somewhere. I think this is a perfect replication of that marine life. And last but not least is probably a fan favorite. I'd say it's split between this fragrance and Aqua Amara. It's Aqua Atlantique. Now there is a little bit more going on in this fragrance, even though I personally like all of them. I mean, I've tried to go back and forth. Amara was my favorite at one time, but there's things about each one that I like the most. So you've got some bergamot, lemon, sage. You also have some vetiver in here. And then you also have the note of apple and amberwood, and that amberwood actually even gives this kind of an amber undertone. So the one thing that I really like about this fragrance is it gives off a little bit of a salty vibe. So when you're thinking, you know, beach, salt water, you know, salt in your hair, you know, even getting in your skin a little bit, even though it's kind of a pain in the butt to wash off, it still just gives you that beach vibe. I know anytime I go to the beach, once I cross that bridge over the water inlet way, you know, starting to, you know, see the seagulls and smelling that salt air, it's just like, you know, like Calgon, take me away, just that relaxing feeling. So for those of you who don't live close to the coast or haven't had a chance to do so, that's something that you need to put on your bucket list. Lucky for me, I live less than 2 hours away from the beach, multiple beaches. You know, I live close to the Atlantic Ocean. So yeah, we try to get some pretty regular trips to the beach, which I've already got one under my belt so far. And these fragrances do remind me very much of, you know, going to the beach, going to Cancun, going to the Caribbean, going to Jamaica. These are great summertime aquatic fragrances. And I feel that all four of them actually each have their own place. So with that said, what is your favorite Bvlgari Aqva fragrance? Is it Atlantique? Is it Amara? Or is it Marine or the OG? Until next time, I'll see you on Carolina Fragrance Reviews.